Hi, everybody. Welcome to 5 Minute Ministries. From the very beginning, God called man to be in leadership. He called men to lead. And we see that in Adam, God creating Adam first to be the head of everything, to subdue the earth. And God, of course, gave him responsibilities to do so. He is to take care of his environment, take care of whatever God gives him. And we see that God put the responsibility on man because God gave Adam a command: do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And he was to pass that information on to his wife, Eve. Now, we know that Adam gave Eve this information because in Genesis chapter 3, Eve repeats the command. And remember, the command was given before Eve was created. So the responsibility is on Adam to tell Eve what God had said. Now, men are called continually to be leaders, especially in the home, in the church, and in the community. Now, that doesn't mean everybody gets to be top dog. It doesn't mean everybody is a pastor or gets to be a pastor, or everybody gets to be the mayor or the governor or the president. Those positions are limited for a reason. Some of us do have to follow. But when it comes to especially our personal lives, we are to lead those God puts under our care, our wives, our children, in any, we'll say, committee or whatever that God has put on our lap to do. We are to be the leaders of that. We are not to delegate that responsibility. We are to be the overseers of what goes on and to make sure things run like they should. Now, there are many, many great biblical examples of good leadership. Not only Adam, but we have David and Moses, Peter, Nehemiah, the Apostle Paul, and the list can go on and on. Great men of leadership. They didn't always start that way, and they weren't always great leaders all the time. Many of them failed. But when they failed, they asked God to forgive them, and they put them right back to where they needed to be. See, when we fail as leaders, we need to admit that we fail. We need to seek forgiveness, and we need to make things right. That's what good leadership does. Leadership just doesn't sit back and say, well, I'm the boss and you do what I tell you to do. We are not dictators. Leaders get involved, and leaders take accountability for their lives. A good, effective leader will seek God's wisdom. Because who else to seek wisdom from than the one who knows us, the one who knows all, and the one who knows what it takes to be an effective leader. See, a good leader will seek God's wisdom first, will seek God's wisdom during the process, and will thank God for the results that occur, whatever they may be. See, what God calls us to do, no matter what happens with it, the results are up to Him. We are to be used of God to carry out His will. And if it seems to fail from a human perspective, that doesn't mean God's will is not accomplished. So we have to remember as leaders, as men, that as long as we stay in God's will, we do what He commands, and we seek His wisdom during the whole thing, that God's will always succeed, even if we seemingly fail. And the ultimate appearance of failure was Jesus dying on the cross. He had a great ministry and many followers, and at the end of it all, He lost everything and died. He was executed. It looked like a failure from a human perspective. But it was God's will, because if Jesus did not die, of course, we would have no salvation. If you say to me, well, I don't care what God has to say. Well, you may have the strength, you may have intelligence, you may have charisma, you may have all these things. But without God, even successes are failures. And I'm not going to get into that today, but leadership has to start with God. It has to begin there, no matter who you are. Even if you are a great leader, even if you are a very effective leader, because there are many effective leaders who try to take over the world, and they failed because they were not in line with God's will. And where are those leaders now? Where are their empires? They're all gone. So it's important that we seek God in His Word. It's important that we include God in the process and ask His guidance in everything we do. Because if we are seeking Him, then our leadership skills will not only improve, People will trust us more because we are seeking one greater than ourselves, the one who is greater than all. This has been 5 Minute Ministries, and I'll see you next time.